Dogs have an intrinsic need to check out other dogs. It may be a full-on desire to make contact and gather the scent of the dog, or it may be an initial orientation when the dog appears suddenly in the environment. Then the associations start to form or get expressed by some form of reactivity based on the other dog's distance, duration, size, shape, and their behavior that they express when they're passing by on leash. We also have to factor in the history of the dog you're working with. In many cases with reactive dogs that react at other dogs, the answer to how will they do is, it depends. This video will discuss and demonstrate how to counter-condition dogs to seeing or hearing dogs when on leash. This video will primarily address handling dogs that will not greet other dogs. No matter their pathology or current behavioral status, it is not advised to meet unknown dogs as you happen upon them during a walk. This is due to not having any tangible information about the dog or their handler. If it goes bad fast. An on-leash dog spat or a fight is not fun and potentially harmful to both dogs and their handlers. When implementing counter-conditioning for dogs on leash to other dogs that may appear suddenly, there are a number of stimuli associated with those dogs. The scent of other dogs is very important for all dogs, and especially dogs that have a fear or frustrating response to dogs when on leash. It's very important that you allow as much scent gathering on walks as possible. It's even advisable to mark yes and reinforce with food rewards for scents of dogs that your dog takes in, be they on the ground or vertical objects like trees and poles, or in the air when they do air sniffs. A major bonus for a dog that has just had a successful counter-conditioning event is to allow the dog to run over and gather scents of the dog that has just passed. Once the dog has appeared and left the scene, jog over and allow the dog you're working with to gather the dog's scent. It makes for a great reinforcement bonus. The sounds of other dogs are usually barking or vocalizing. Also, ID tags and gear jingles are a close second. In many cases, these sounds are the trigger that sets off the reactive dog. These are the two sound categories that the dog will need conditioning for. In order for both auditory stimulus packages to have a positive association, or in the case of dogs that are not fearful of dogs but frustrated, these tag jingles and dog vocalizings are in some cases a trigger for the reactive dog to start barking. By marking yes and paying dogs high-value food rewards for simply orienting to the sounds of barking or jingles from dog tags, the dog will soon learn that these sounds predict a food reward and the stress will be reduced. By marking and paying the reactive dog, or even a dog not known for reacting, for any and all dog-related sounds, you won't get them all, but if you try, your percentages will be high, and the dog will learn that dog sounds predict good things. And in many cases, this marking and paying for dog sounds is actually a preventative for future reactivity. Yes. Good girl. Here are some examples of counter-conditioning dogs to other dogs when on leash. A handler may have a dog gathering scents of a dog that just passed and will appear in a block or two or come back towards them. Mark and pay for these scents. The dog may hear the tags of a dog in the distance, and that is all, or a bark, then some tags, or a bark alone, then an appearance. Mark and pay for all these sounds, so when the appearance occurs, it'll be less stressful. Sometimes dogs just appear as the handler and the dog are looking in the opposite direction, and the dog has no jangling gear and does not bark. Then all of a sudden, the dog is seen. Mark and pay for this sighting and the entire duration of the dog in the sight of the dog you're working, and when the dog is gone, the food goes away. For these reasons, any and all dog-related sights and sounds and scents should be marked and paid for. By marking yes and delivering food rewards while the dog is under threshold, and making associations to dog sights, sounds, and scents, this will help build a positive association to dogs in general. The following steps are needed in order to have a significant reduction and eventual eradication of over-threshold responses. Some reactivity may linger even after years of counter-conditioning and implementing all of these steps. All dogs are individuals, and behavior is in the environment, not in the dog. And even in the most well-socialized dog, they may become startled or react if the context is stressful or sudden. These steps will help, but there is no perfection, only better percentages. Management in the form of avoiding the rehearsal of reactive episodes is crucial. This is done by using environmental objects such as cars and trees or buildings. Also, by the handler staying aware and simply redirecting the dog to the opposite direction before there's even a hint of the other dog. The success of counter-conditioning and desensitization of leash reactive dogs to other dogs is the distance and the dog's socializing history. If the distances are enough so that the dog will stay under threshold, take food for each sighting or orientation, thus the dog is being counter-conditioned. If they're over threshold, they are not being counter-conditioned. Add into the dog's life a sufficient socializing history and usually the trials go very well. Sightings and or orientations, as there could also be auditory stimuli such as barks and tags that result in being marked yes and then rewarded with high value food, will soon have the dog making a one-to-one association that anything related to dogs equals high value food and safe distances. The desensitization comes into play when the handler's awareness of the environment is spot on, so distances are appropriate for the trials, and counter-conditioning is being implemented properly, thus avoiding over-threshold events. Depending on the environment and the handler's skills, counter-conditioning and desensitization can be a challenging aspect for the leash reactive dog. It is one of the most challenging reactivity categories as dogs are naturally drawn to want to at least orient to other dogs when they enter their environment. Unlike other stimuli such as bikes or cars, dogs are genetically predisposed to want to check out other dogs. Whether the dogs are longtime friends or new dogs that are assessed and handled appropriately for the greeting, the leash reactive dog that can meet a multitude of dogs and have it go well is a huge aspect of reducing the leash reactivity towards seeing or hearing dogs. Do not meet unknown dogs. This is a general rule I issue, but it is specifically not to be done with a dog that has reactivity. When it comes to dogs, always make the safest choice and then you've made the smartest decision. Please watch the Urban Dogs Leash Greetings video on this channel for some good instructions on how to meet up and do leash greetings with dogs that you have assessed. When the leash reactive dog has an active social life filled with good outcomes and a nice circle of friends, it will assuredly be a benefit for the dog that has either a fear of some dogs and or may be overly excited or frustrated on leash. The more satiated the reactive dog can be with positive experiences and off-leash play, the more their social needs are being met, and that is always a great way to reduce stress. Always take an accurate history of the dog that is going to be in play, and make sure that the dog's play is going to be fun for all involved. Do not simply obtain a dog and try some play for a leash reactive dog. That could make the reactive dog have a worse association to dogs, and should the greeting and subsequent play go poorly, it's not going to play well towards reducing reactivity towards dogs. Remember, perfection is not the goal. Good percentages are the goal. Leash reactive dogs are challenging for even the most skilled trainers and handlers of dogs. It takes quite a bit of work, awareness, and focus as it occurs on leash, and may also occur when the dog is not on a leash walk. So dogs reacting to other dogs may occur regardless of the dog being on leash, whereas a dog that reacts to traffic may only react to cars when on leash, as that's when the dog sees or hears traffic. Dogs contained on leashes are already in a state of stress to varying degrees, so do your best to also counter-condition a leash reactive dog when they're off leash and may also react at other dogs. This way the dog is still learning that dogs predict rewards or distance. The work needed for humans to become better at counter-conditioning leash reactive dogs is challenging, and in order to become very good at it, it is suggested to film in some way, and make the viewing of the film a common practice. Study the sessions, revise the mechanics, note distances and durations and what context provides stress levels to raise, and how much and what context are contributing to the stress. This way, you'll have a very accurate picture of your dog's pathology. In order to really bring the work to the level of the pros and fully eradicate the reactivity towards other dogs on leash, it takes work. There is no magic, it's all mechanics. When on leash with a reactive dog, be ready to train or manage. Don't panic, prepare and plan it. Have fun, train safe, and please stay aware out there. And thanks for watching. This has been a K9 Sun media presentation.
Leave it. Yes. It's okay. Yes. That's good to know.